Well, today we have a special guest. We have dUSTIN from Ohio. And Ohio is not only the home of the Rock and Roll History Museum. I mean, it's actually called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but we also have a few cryptids there. And today we're going to talk about the motherfucking Loveland frog, and might as well talk about Bigfoot a little bit too. So hang on, kids. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
It's alive!
I was with you.
They're coming to get you. By the power of Christ. This is
Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
What's going on, Mr. Spar?
Oh, not much, man. How are you doing? We got a guest today. This is pretty great.
It's pretty awesome. Welcome to Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants, dUSTIN from Ohio. How's it going, man?
Doing well. Enjoying my time over here in Ohio.
Oh, right on. So dUSTIN said he knows a little bit about some folklore and some cryptids type stuff from Ohio. So we thought we'd have him on and maybe better explain it to some dumb Illinoisans and even dumber Texans.
Easy.
No, I'm talking. I'm the dumber one. I'm down here. I'm down here in Tejas. So,
well, like in Texas, there's not a lot to do in Ohio, so people spend too much time outside. This specific legend is a particularly interesting one because it takes place basically a few miles from where I live. It's also a river I spend a lot of time on fishing and hunting and kind of spending time hunting frogs. Actually, is one of the things I do in the area. So
you're a gigger, huh? You gigging?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you haven't had frog legs, they're absolutely delicious.
So good.
They're so good. Yeah,
man,
and it's a fun thing to do late at night in the summer too. So that's kind of Ohio is there's a lot of rivers in the area, at least in the portion I'm in Southwest Ohio, and so people spend a lot of time outdoors, which I think is part of the source of this particular legend. So,
right on.
But
you went from one extreme end of the gig to the other.
Exactly.
Different gig.
So
giggity. Sorry.
All right.
The legend is the Loveland Frogman, and so the story goes that and there's a number of versions of this, of course, but the first version is that so it was a warm May evening early in the spring, and a businessman, a traveling salesman, a Bible salesman, some traveling salesman was
wearing a suit, and he was probably in a tie.
Right. So, and there's actually even another version where he was a short order cook for some reason. I don't know.
Sure.
There's all kinds of dudes.
Maybe it's still
out here.
Maybe it's still a tie.
Could be. But anyway, he was cruising around Loveland. Apparently, it was 3 a.m. Usual selling Bibles at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Shit.
Are you sure that wasn't Encyclopedia Britannica?
Yeah. So I don't know. There's some cultural elements that are taking place during this time too. Like people are starting to discover psychedelics. Like there was horror films being made at the time. So there's some stuff going on there potentially. But anyway, so he was driving around in the Loveland area, and he came across this bridge. And sitting on the bridge or near the bridge or under the bridge, again, the story kind of varies a little bit. There were 3 figures, and 3, about 3 to 4 foot tall figures standing on the bridge. And so he pulled up, got out of his car for some reason. And apparently, so I'm not sure, if you see 3 strange figures sitting by the roadside, I guess the first thing you do is stop and get out of the car. I don't know. Logic doesn't need to apply. I don't think in all these cases.
I saw the Loveland frog. Oh man!
You eat shit, Zach.
So he gets out of the car, and so he's walking up to these figures, and apparently they're have leathery skin, and large bulbous heads, and it's unclear that in some versions of the stories they have on like robes. So I'm not sure why that is. But anyway, they noticed him there. They're apparently having a little conversation, a little tete-a-tete. And then
What the hell?
and then he walks up to them, and apparently they notice him, and one of them lifts his arm up over his head and waves a wand around, which shoots sparks out of the end of it, or something like that. And
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
And then from there, he varies. They either jump over the railing and disappear, or he gets back in his car. Apparently, he was freaked out enough to go and talk to the police. It's sketchy if there's actually a police record of this one, but that's kind of how the story ends. Is that he went off and was scared. There's certain versions of the stories where a policeman was parked at the bridge to keep track of what happened there, and so on and so forth. So I think the best part about it is there's some sort of like fine details. One of which is that there was like the stench of almonds and alfalfa, which I'm not sure. Like I don't know why frogs smell like alfalfa, but yeah. So that's the basic story. That one apparently occurred in 1955.
A bit gangrenous, then, eh? Smells of almonds.
Yeah,
That does put me in the mind of like the Skinwalker thing, because at Skinwalker Ranch there was people talking about like these like humans that had dog heads that were sitting around smoking cigarettes talking to each other when they see
Nice.
them. It's like, what
the most interesting part is like a group of frogmen or whatever they are, like hanging out, like talking to each other, like, and then they see this guy pull up and they're like, "What's going on, man?" Apparently, it's in some version of the story they like pointed at him and said, "Get out of here," and like so. I don't know, really bizarre. So there's a variety of those. The one with the short order cook's particularly interesting too. It had a few other details. Again, the stench of alfalfa and almonds was consistent. But yeah, I think one of the versions where it was he was described, the guy's name was Richard Honeycutt or something like that. So there was an actual instance and a name associated with this. Okay, here we go. They were not green apparently, but had a grayish color, including the garments. They had a lopsided chest, so painted on hair like a plastic doll. So like, all
Trying
sorts
to
of
fit
fun
in?
details there. Yeah. I don't know, man.
I sounds like Mr. Honeycutt must have been so high.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. So
Wow.
and this all occurred again in 1955, which was, kind of right when monster movies were starting to become popular. So there'd been,
Right.
a few of those. So that's kind of where, where some of the root of this comes from potentially. There's also some stories from the, the native people in the area as well, about Shawnahawk or something similar to that, which was the river
Sounds like a good metal band name
Right,
for
exactly. Yeah.
That's not bad.
We are Sherlock.
There you go.
Could be fun. I think, and that one is it's just one of the other stories that's around. So that one is kind of the classic Loveland Frogman story. I think that one, is, again, it took place in the 50s. But there was another interesting one that took place in 1972. This one's kind of interesting. It leads into some sort of interesting questions about cryptids and say you encounter a cryptid, what's your course of action? But so the story goes that there was a police officer who was again in the Loveland area. Again, they're always associated with the bridges over the river for some reason. So this Officer Ray Shockey was driving around Loveland one night, and he saw something strange near the river. He couldn't figure out what it was. He said it was about 3 to 4 feet long, and kind of moved in a slithery way around, on the road. But so this officer called up another officer, Officer Matthews, and told this story. And Matthews is kind of a no nonsense guy. He says, naturally, I didn't believe him, but I could somehow tell from his demeanor that he did see something. So so it starts out that, and eventually on that same road, Matthews was driving down the same road. And he saw something there, and I'm not sure if he knew what it was in advance, but he comes up on this creature. Apparently, the creature crawled under the guardrail, and Officer Matthews pulled his car off of the road, drew his revolver, and shot the thing.
Well, that's of course that's what you do.
Right. What else are you gonna do? I mean, you see some unknown creature,
shoot first.
It.
Well, shoot first, ask questions later.
I will tell you this, though. I do know some dudes. I promise you I know some dudes that those frogs would have been more terrified of them than they would have been of it, because they would have tackled that son of a bitch to lick its ass to see if they could get high.
I don't know if these are those kinds of frogs. I don't know.
Well, they would have gave it a go. I was like, they're big. It's got to be a good one.
Well, somebody's definitely tripping when these stories.
We're going to see what happens.
So I think probably the best quote I came across with this. Yeah, go ahead.
So he shot at it. Did he hit it?
Yeah. So his quote, this is in 2016, he was contacted by the local paper, and he said his quote from this was, and it's one of my favorite lines I've ever heard ever. He said, "I knew no one would believe me, so I shot it."
That's what you do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, so ask questions later. I don't know. Yeah. So apparently he actually recovered the body, put it in his trunk, and then took it to show the officer who had seen it, Officer Shockey, who'd seen it previously, and showed him the Loveland Frogman, which by all accounts was a large iguana that had lost its tail. So
yeah, this is a fucking large iguana, man. That is.
I mean, seriously, like it's and I mean, people have taken that story previously and left off the part where it was an iguana. So that was part of the legend for quite some time. But
so I'm guessing 3 to 4 foot tall was a bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah, that's a huge iguana, especially with its tail. I mean, that's got to be a serious iguana.
That'd be like a kimono dragon, only on its back legs.
Man.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah. Another excellent quote. This Matthews guy is pretty fantastic. He said the thing was half dead anyway when I shot it too. So he.
It was already half dead. He knew that.
Yeah, well, I think it was cold, so he assumed iguanas don't do well in Ohio. I think is what he was thinking.
Well, that would explain the crawling around like they said it was. Like, it could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it if you got I don't think it was standing upright though, which is part of a big part of the lore for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so that one's an interesting story. I think what that question brings up is, or what that story brings up is, like, if you had an opportunity to if you saw a Bigfoot or any other cryptid, and if you saw Loch Ness, are you going to harpoon the thing?
No, it's coming right for us.
No, no way. If I seen a Bigfoot and I had a gun, I wouldn't shoot it, because I'd be like, that's a dude in a suit and I'm going to commit murder, and I'm not doing it. No matter how much I believe what I'm seeing, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
No way.
So Zach, you want to get on this?
I would say I'm of the mindset of Spar, but as soon as that thing chucks some shit at me,
you're on it,
or a rock, yeah. It's open season on Bigfoot.
So you guys would be willing to be, you've seen this thing, for sure. You don't have a camera, but you got a gun, so you're gonna let him walk though. You get no proof of it.
We don't have to kill it. I mean, you could just maim it
Maybe
So I
can't
can't-
shoot it in the leg or something.
Leg
Yeah,
shot.
That's an interesting take on it for sure.
And then what are you going to do? It's a wounded creature now that's humongous. It's going to destroy you if you try to get up next to it.
Right. Yeah. What are you gonna do then? You're gonna try and like bear hug it and take it home with you? What's the
I don't
plan?
know.
You shoot it in one kneecap, it's kind of slow it down, then you shoot it in the other kneecap, and then it's crawling, and then then you can just drag it back with you. And
Take it home with you. Yeah,
That's how it works.
So you don't have to kill it, and then if it's a person in a suit, then I mean, you've got reasonable suspicion to shoot the thing. I guess I don't know,
Gentlemen, I think we just wrote the script for Harry and the Hendersons Part 2.
Well, so that question is also pertinent because of the third story that I wanted to get to here, and that one took place in 2016. Do you guys remember 2016?
I sure do.
There was.
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of vaguely do. I don't know, but one of the things. One of the things that was really popular, apparently, and it seemed to have been popular for about 15 minutes, was Pokemon Go. So,
It's still popular where I'm at. Yeah.
is it really?
They're still playing that?
I thought that wave had subsided pretty substantially.
Like the geo-tabbing, right? Is that what they call it? Is that correct?
Geotagging? Yeah.
Yeah, geotagging.
Yeah, it's kind of, but Pokemon Go is sort of like a specific version of that, where you go out and try and find fake monsters, or Pokemon, However, in 2016, when it was popular, there were some apparently the story goes that there were some kids out, some high school kids out playing Pokemon Go, and they were at Lake Isabella, which is kind of it's a fishing lake near Loveland, and they actually got some video of the Loveland Frogman. So I don't know if you guys have seen any of that, but it's pretty terrible in quality for sure.
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah.
So what'd you think? You seen it? What were your thoughts there? What'd you think?
The thing didn't blink like ever. It I mean, it was fairly quick. The big eyes, the lurching around, but I mean, I could have done that with minimal effort. I mean, really.
Yeah. I think it's pretty widely understood to be a hoax. One of the good comments from that. So the guy's name who took the video was Samuel Jacobs, I believe, and he said something to the effect of, "I swear on my grandma's grave that that it was a frog."
Well, shit, he can't be lying then. It's got to be true,
right? I mean, I don't know. Have you ever sworn on any member of your family's grave before? It's not something that comes up.
I've never been put in that position. I don't think.
No, not that often.
So it's like you'll either believe me or you won't. Fuck off.
Right.
Whatever.
Right. He said, we saw a huge frog near the water. Not in the game. This was an actual giant frog.
Okay.
So I took a couple of pictures and a video because I'd never seen one that big. I swear on my grandmother's grave that this is the truth. I don't know. Anyone who asks feels like they have to swear on their grandmother's grave with video evidence. I'm automatically like,
yeah, you're pushing pretty hard, man. Oh, I swear I've never seen one that big. Yeah, no shit, man. No one has.
Right. It's 3 feet tall. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, I hunt frogs pretty regular, and the biggest ones we've seen are like 6 inches long, man. That's a big one.
Yeah.
You could rotisserie that frog leg,
right, exactly,
man.
Yeah, that'd be
party
a healthy
time,
haul, man. Yeah, so I think, and there, interestingly, there was some news coverage of this one, and there was one article that showed up for a little while, and I found when I was initially looking at this that now is gone, and it had sort of more details about the fact that it was basically a hoax. So pretty widely assumed to be a hoax. However, this is another instance where probably someone was dressed up in a suit as the Loveland Frogman. Very lucky that he wasn't around when that officer Matthews was was on the prowl. He may have gotten shot. So
that's some risky business.
It's scrumptious.
That's risky business, man. Dressing up like a cryptid to try to get somebody to take a video of you, because you never know if somebody's packing and thinking like that dude did. He's like, no one's going to believe me.
Right.
Bam. Freaking.
Well, I mean, And I mean, these things are potentially dangerous too. If you come across Bigfoot, I mean, you could honestly invoke fear in certain people. So, I think there's a good reason not to dress up as Bigfoot. So,
yeah, for sure. For sure.
So that's kind of the wrapped up Loveland Frogman story. There was one other story that I had heard from a friend of mine, and it was basically that it was a full moon in the middle of summer, and some guys were out frog gigging, and they were on the Little Miami River and found a little creek leading off of the river that led into a swamp. And the story goes that they're finding these frogs. They just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as they worked their way back into the back of this marsh, they got to the end of the marsh, and they filled up their bucket or whatever, and were on their way back. And then a giant frogman jumped and stood on the edge of the canoe and told them to leave this place and never come back. And then he spoke to them, and then he grabbed their fish basket and then dove in. And the crazy thing about that story is that the next day, it was a father and a son, and they'd been exploring this part of the river they hadn't been in. They came back and tried to find the stream that they had been in, and there was no sign of the stream. It had completely disappeared.
Wow.
So that was one that's kind of some friends of mine told me that one. I haven't seen any further documentation of that one, but that one was definitely a little more interesting in terms of what's and I think also the brings the sort of the outdoors aspect to it too. So
some kind of different dimension situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Only on a full moon night, and only if you wave your wand and say Wingardium Leviosa.
Then you get access to the frog that's pissed that you killed all of his children.
Yeah. So I mean, I think again, a lot of what's why these stories are fun for Ohio is because it's a place that there's not a lot to do here, for one, and also there's people spend a lot of time outdoors, and the rivers are pretty nice where we are too. So it's kind of a nice story for that. There's some kind of sort of side stories too. There was a bluegrass musical produced about the Loveland Frogman too. So that was pretty fun.
Was it like Hot Damn? It's the Loveland Frog.
Yeah, Hot Damn, it's the Loveland Frogman. So, pretty entertaining. And the music in it's pretty good too. There's some pretty funny songs in that one. There was a half marathon as well, the Loveland Frogman half marathon. So that was a good one too. So people have really embraced it, and there's actually a couple statues around Loveland too, and they're some pretty good, pretty neat ones. So
they did statues for the Frogman like they did for Mothman.
They're sort of placed in, like, there's a bike trail that runs through Loveland, and there's one right along the bike trail there. So I ride my bicycle by the bike man, or by the Frogman pretty regular.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. Story. It's fun.
I never heard of this story until you mentioned it to me, and when I try to envision this in my head, I picture like Gollum from the Hobbit cartoon. Remember that? Yeah. That's what I see in my head every time when I'm trying to picture this thing.
There's lots of good art based around this creature too. There's quite the visions that people have come up with around it are pretty entertaining as well. So it's sort of and I think this kind of a monster sort of an archetype. There's a number of them out there that are kind of similar. A water monster of some sort, and I think it's kind of one that exists in a lot of different forms. Definitely an interesting one for sure.
When I was just trying to find something else in Ohio, and I found some water stuff as well. Something about like a giant monster that lives in the lake.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard of that one. Ohio is rich with cryptids, man. There's like a pretty good range from the Mothman. There's a few others, but I haven't heard of the one in the lake. That sounds legit though.
Yeah. I'm sure it was reported.
Like giant, like 40 feet long.
Nice
Underwater dwelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, it's probably similar to the stories of the catfish that live underneath the dams.
Yeah, all of them.
Grandpa went down there and never again will he return because the catfish is so huge. So on and so forth.
That's every single town that has a lake in it with a dam. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Divers went down there and they were too afraid to go back down because the catfish could swallow a man. That's every single. Yeah.
Classic, yeah. It's the size of a car, man.
Yeah, easily. It could eat a Volvo.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Every town.
Nice. Well, you guys want to move along?
Sounds good.
Sure.
Okay.
You got other?
I'm interested in hearing about the grass man.
Yeah.
Pass that shit, man. Woo!
The grass man. I knew a guy named the Grass Man when I was in school.
Different kind of grass man.
He's a popular fella.
Right, exactly.
All right.
Not scary though.
No.
I didn't have any idea, but did you know that Ohio is ranked in the top 5 states in the U.S. for Bigfoot sightings?
Oh, really?
Top 5.
Top 5.
That's
I think like
huge.
the mountain states, like like the Rocky Mountain areas would be the highest incidence.
Yeah,
But
same
You
for
wrong.
me.
You
Same
wrong,
for
boy.
me. I figured the same.
Okay, so this particular thing is often referred to as the Ohio grassman. Sometimes it's referred to as orange eyes, and in some cases, it's referred to as the Minerva monster.
the Minerva monster. I like that
Yeah.
one. That's a good name.
That's pretty good.
That's a good metal band name too.
Solid.
Okay, so they're typical Sasquatch type creatures. They're tall bipedal hominids. They stalk the woods and fields of Ohio. Very similar to the Sasquatch, but it seems to be more aggressive when confronted and pissed off. And it's also more social than any other Bigfoot type species. And by social, I mean they've been seen in groups. They've been yeah.
Ohio and its groups. That it's just the groups of frogmen and groups of Sasquatch.
We got 3
apparently.
frogmen hanging out. Yeah.
They're talking bad about the freaking grass man. They're like, "Did you see what those fuckers do?"
Right. So the grass man name, it comes from these small hut-like structures or nests that these things build, and they weave them out of like tall grass and tree branches.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen some videos of those. Those things look pretty cool. I mean, no human could possibly make this, but anyway,
Right.
But
I seem like I saw something like that about a similar kind of Bigfoot structures, nests in the Pacific Northwest too. But maybe
yeah.
I don't know.
It's also called the grass man. It's rumors only, no scientific evidence that the majority of these things.
No shit.
No way.
The majority of the diet that they eat is plant-based. So
I thought you was coming with some breaking news.
Right. I mean, is Bigfoot vegetarian? I don't know.
I don't think so. No.
Meat eater. Carnivore or omnivore? I would think he'd kind of be like raccoonish, he would eat whatever he came across.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Depends on his mood. If he's feeling chunky, he might go switch to green for a little bit.
So dating back as early as the 1700s, Native Americans in the Ohio grasslands spoke of a strange race that they referred to as the wild ones of the woods that lived in the area. And they would leave out food for these creatures in order to like kind of keep the peace, just so they'd leave them alone.
Huh. What evidence is there that there were like what stories about them being aggressive are there?
We're getting there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're good. You're good.
Let's get to the aggression.
I'm trying to go in chronological order here. So in the late 1800s, sightings of a similar type creature to whatever this is, the grass man, were made by the Ohio River, where this creature attacked a man walking with his daughter through the woods. After they'd been on a little carriage ride through the woods, they went for a little stroll, and this thing just kind of jumps out of nowhere and puts this guy in like a fucking sleeper hold for like like for 3 or 4 minutes. He's just got him in this sleeper hold, and he can't get out.
They didn't even get to roll for initiative.
No. Didn't come in off the top rope. Nothing. No elbows. But apparently this guy's daughter, she threw several stones at it and like hit it in the head, and it didn't seem
it didn't seem to like hurt it. It just kind of like agitated it, and it let go
Pissed
of her
it
dad,
off?
and then
Oh.
they fled.
All right.
Okay.
So it worked out.
So she's got a good arm then.
Right.
No, but-
apparently.
But the first like modern day sighting of this grassman creature was in Minerva, Ohio, in August of 1978, when the grandchildren of Evelyn and Hal Clayton ran inside their house screaming about this big hairy monster that they saw in the gravel pit that was behind their house. Behind their house there was an old abandoned strip mine, and the kids liked to play there. And when they went out to look for this thing, they saw it. It was covered in dark matted hair, and it was sitting in this gravel pit, and that's where they threw like all their trash and shit. And it was sitting there like just sifting through all their discarded crap.
So I'm going. This is fits with the omnivore idea. I mean, it's just like a like a raccoon or whatever going through people's trash, finding food. That makes sense. I buy that. Yeah.
I would think it would be standing there with tears in its eyes because you're just throwing your trash there, like the Indian used to do at the end.
Oh yeah. So he's an environmentalist.
It's like, what are you doing to my land? What's wrong with you?
So they GTFO. They go back to their house, and but they kind of like they came to the realization that like they found their dog dead with its neck broken, and like its collar was like laying right beside the body of the dog, and that happened like a week before they saw this thing, and they're like, holy shit, that thing probably killed it, because they could hear their dogs barking at something at night, but they live right by the woods. They don't know what that is.
Could be anything.
But they did have another German Shepherd, and apparently it dug a hole 6 feet into the ground and would sleep there at night.
6 feet deep.
I'm suspicious of that, man.
Yeah, man.
Three sightings online of that. That I can only tell you what I found in the research here.
Okay, a dog can only throw it so far as his body will allow. There's no way it's 6 feet, dude.
Unless that's a big fucking dog.
Must be, man. I don't know.
That's what it said.
Big dog, man.
That's what it said. So that wasn't the only time they saw this thing. They said that after that initial encounter, like about a week later, they saw this thing looking through their kitchen window, like peering into the home at them. And so Mr. Clayton gets his gun, and before he can get outside with the gun, it's gone. But they call the cops. The cops show up. They can't find it anywhere, but they find footprints, and they smell this terrible, like the smell was still totally presumably there, permeating the area. Like it smelled like just shit, like which is most Bigfoot cases, they say, God damn, them things stink.
Stinks. Yeah. It's pretty consistent, I'd say.
I'll take the almonds of the frog over the shit smell.
Almonds and fresh cut alfalfa.
Yeah,
Yes.
that sounds a lot better to me.
Gangrenous. But this story goes on like this. It's later seen by this couple, the Claytons, atop a hill near the strip mine behind their house at night. And later that evening, they hear rocks being thrown at their home like all night long, just like hitting the roof of their house all night long. And I guess their neighbor got pelted in the face with one of these rocks that night.
I heard that about like the Bigfoot throwing rocks. I've heard.
Yeah,
that's like a thing.
He learned from that girl who was down at the river.
Yeah, I remember that sucked. Have this.
Check it out.
So this goes on and on and on. Like, so the next month in August, like early August, broad daylight, Mrs. Clayton observes 2 hairy bipeds on the same hill, and they're holding like babies.
What?
Wait, the Bigfoots have babies?
Well, I mean, how does to get more Bigfoots? I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Weird.
Are they human babies that they're holding, or are they Bigfoot babies? One of those is creepier than the other.
Right. Well, they're both pretty creepy. I mean,
I'd rather
is
be
that like
Bigfoot babies.
10 babies in a barrel, or one day baby in 10 barrels, that kind of thing. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So the press got a hold of this, and it attracted mass media attention
from around the area, from local papers. According to an article written by Ed Balant, a Clayton repository staff writer, the Clayton family was bombarded with attention following the event, and Herbert Clayton recalled, one day there were 100 to 150 cars in my driveway, on my lawn, and lining both sides of the road. So this pretty much shied them away from saying anything further publicly about this whole incident. But
so the Bigfoot people just showed up and like in mass.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
I bet that's not uncommon. As soon as there's like what they call it, like a flap with UFOs, but if there's the Bigfoot sightings, people are like, load up, we're going.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's like, how are you so independently wealthy that you can just do that? I don't get it.
So they didn't publicly say anything about it the rest of their lives. Evelyn and Hal are now dead, but their relatives still live in the house, and they still hold up the claim that they did have these encounters.
Huh.
It still holds true. The last article I saw was like from 2019. They had contacted maybe one of the grandsons who witnessed this.
Huh.
So,
well, that's a more credible report than anything I've seen for the Frogman. I'd say it seems like.
I don't know the cops report. I heard that police officer was like a rookie. Like he was like new to the force and then called for backup. And that's pretty ballsy to tell him, hey, I see some giant frogs. It's like, okay, you're fired. You're out of here.
It's either that or pass that shit. One or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
What are you doing? What's going on, man?
I'd be real curious to see what the police reports for these events look like. Like what do they write?
Right.
Oh, I'm willing to bet that most of them are like, you're not writing anything. This has never happened.
Right.
We're not.
Right. Yeah.
No way.
Right.
We're not.
Right. Same as the UFO shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a couple more encounters if you want to hear about them.
Have at it.
Man.
In
1995, an anonymous witness reported their encounter to the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. On July 4th, 1995, these three men decided to go for a night hike along the railroad that runs parallel to Riverview Road near Brandywine Ski Resort in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. They claim around 11:30 p.m. that they heard a high-pitched scream from the west, which they described as sounding similar to a coyote or a peacock, but raspier. They say it only lasted about 5 seconds, and they didn't think anything of it, assuming it to be some ordinary animal. But
do either of you guys know what a peacock sounds like? I have no idea what a peacock
sounds like. It sounds like a woman screaming.
It's really hyper specific.
It does sound like a woman screaming.
Yeah,
really?
Screaming.
Okay, yeah.
It's awful. It's awful. They're the most annoying fucking animal. It's so bad.
Sounds like it.
my grandparents had just this random peacocks that would come up through their yard, and they just kind of roamed around their neighborhood. But yeah, they're terrifying.
It sounds like a woman scream. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like hyper specific, and like how would you know that what a peacock sounded like?
You won't forget it when
knowledge.
You won't forget it if you hear it. It's like, oh god, what an awful animal. You're pretty to look at, but man.
So after these guys hiked further through like a marshy clearing, they headed into a wooded area for several minutes before they decided to turn back around and go back. So when they re-entered the clearing, they heard another high-pitched roaring from the center of the marsh that they were in. And this time it sounded a little longer. They say 8 to 10 seconds. And they say it sounded like it was a lot closer, like it was only like 50 to 75 feet away from them. And they say at that point, a large creature charged through the marsh right at them and was bipedal, swung its arm as it ran through the water in the marsh. It was moving really quickly, despite being chest deep in the muck water. So these guys, they just hightailed it all the way back to their car. And they say the creature just stayed near the edge of the swamp, and they managed to get out of there.
Crazy.
Unscathed.
Did you hear? Have you heard about the Ohio Jackal Man?
Ohio Jackal Man, that was a new one.
Yeah, because Julia Storm was driving home.
Is he funny?
No, he's awful. Was driving home one night when she blew out a tire and got out to fix it. when she heard some rustling in the woods, and she wasn't going to mess around. She took off running through the woods and happened across a hunting cabin where she braced herself in there. And it was just banging on the door, but she slept there all night. And I'm making all of this shit up, Dustin. You don't have to look it up. None of this is real.
Oh, shit. Well, this local Bigfoot researcher, his name's Charlie Page. He claims to have obtained an audio recording of a grassman's howl in 2015 that he got in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. He says it was near the I-271 overpass that borders Cuyahoga and Summit counties. And he's
Cuyahoga.
I say Cuyahoga just because the REM Cuyahoga.
Oh, gotcha.
I like that name.
He said he recorded this sound from Hemlock Point, where he heard multiple howl sounds from different locations, but seemingly from the same species. And if you guys would like to hear that, it goes a little something like this.
I mean,
it's definitely not a peacock, but
kind of sounds like a siren to me.
It did a little bit, like off in the distance. It could be,
yeah.
But it only went through like the one. No, it's kind of like I want to see it timed out. It's definitely not on time for a siren.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, you never hear a singles.
Yeah, that was a bit different.
Yep. There's a little bit of variation in there. It's not a dog or anything, you know.
No, not a dog, not a coyote.
Not a coyote,
Yeah.
no. Sounds lonely. Kind of angry too.
Somebody needs their Snickers bar, I guess. I don't know.
It's a Sasquatch country song about somebody hit me in the head with a fucking rock.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested why the Ohio Sasquatch is so upset and angry and violent as opposed to the.
Well, I mean, it's Ohio.
Loving. Yeah, I mean,
it's
there's
Ohio.
plenty of reasons to be mad in Ohio. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I found this video online too that I thought was pretty cool. I'm not sure if it's real or not. Can you guys see that?
Nope.
You're not seeing it? Okay, hold on a second. Let me share my screen. There. Now can you see it?
It's coming up.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
So this was captured in January 2020 in Salt Fork State Park by We Do It Outdoors. And you can find this on YouTube. It's about
We Do It Outdoors sounds like you could find it on Pornhub.
Right.
you can do it all night long. Anyway, it's I don't know. I'm not sure about the daylight stuff, but yeah, you guys check this out real quick, and I'll edit this probably out later, but I'll share the link in the description of the episode.
Yeah.
It's a monkey man.
Just walking along real calm.
Yeah.
Totally chilled out.
And then
Whoa.
no,
That went
Oh, he's
super.
running along now.
yeah.
I don't know.
Dude. Fuck's sake.
This is the Blair Witch Project? I love this movie.
That was a great movie. The Blair Witch 2 was even good. Book of Shadows. I like that movie.
Yeah, it's good. It wasn't quite as I don't know.
Well, it was the amping up of the first Blair Witch, I think, that made it so great.
Right,
it was
exactly.
all the internet
It's still
shit.
good, yeah.
Zach, if you do a jump scare, I swear to God, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yep.
He's like 5 yards from that Bigfoot. That is, I'm highly skeptical.
Yeah, it's not blinking either, is it? Look at that.
Does
not
appear to
blinking.
be
No
blinking.
blink.
Right. He's unlike every other animal with the taped lucidium.
Every single animal with eyelids.
Wait, was that you, Zach, or was that the?
No, that's it. I haven't said a word. I haven't said a word.
That was the cameraman, I think.
Okay, it's coming right for us.
I mean,
Here comes Officer Matthews.
What I don't get is if you're going through all the trouble to do this video, you could make a blinking contraption that would be pretty easily worked, and I don't.
Right. I don't think anybody thinks of that, though. That is a real good point. You know, if you're going to do this nighttime stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Have you guys seen enough? Because this goes on for another minute and a half.
I'm good. I think I'm good.
I think I'm
yeah.
all right.
Well, as soon as I seen it non-blinking, it's like, what the fuck, man?
I do think it's interesting here in Ohio. There's like a trillion hunters, so and there are cams up absolutely everywhere.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you know, I mean, the probability of running into a Sasquatch and getting a good photo is just higher than it's ever been. So I hold out hope.
Right. There has been some evidence captured. Can you see? There's the weird thing about these creatures is some of them are considered three-toed. Can you see this picture?
Yeah.
Which, and then, you know, there's also 5-toed footprints that they find like that. And also there have been casts made from indentions. There you go. See?
Well, that's fucking.
I mean,
found in the area. So, it's pretty wild. And there've been hair samples that have been found that they say can't be categorized by any known species.
I want to believe.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool.
I do. I want to believe.
I also know how widely people have explored our country for sure, and it's like, so they would have to be a very sly beast,
right?
to exist.
So the weird things like, been spotted in groups as large as 5. Have left behind mutilated deer corpses, off of which is fed, which is kind of metal, with only with only the livers removed.
No, big
Sasquatch is a liver man,
High on iron, man. Got to get my iron. Low on the FE. Strands of hair found at sightings have been studied at Ohio State University. Do not match any known animal.
Really? So OSU actually has done neat.
Well, that's cool. So I like that.
Yeah, I would put that at the higher tier of actual evidence for something. That's interesting for sure.
So most modern day sightings, they happen up until present day. Most happened in the Cuyahoga. Is that correct?
Cuyahoga, yeah. I don't know if that's actually correct. I mean, that's the common pronunciation, I would say.
Right on. They happen in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, the Salt Fork State Park, and the surrounding areas. And they're known for their caves, close proximity to local farms, and they can provide ample shelter, and food for a Bigfoot type creature such as the Grassman. Yeah.
I like how it goes by
French?
Yeah, that did come out.
Can you not tell by my outrageous accent?
What? Let's not get into why he's French or not.
Yeah, we'll quote the whole fucking movie. I like how it goes by a different name in every area, but it's similar. You got the swamp ape in Florida, and then you got the grass man here, and then
it'd be, species kind of depending on where they're at. They could be a little different.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There's probably not a lot of interbreeding because travel for these things has got to be very difficult.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Assume it'd be hard.
Or if you talk to some people, It's super easy because they just fly up in the UFOs that are near them.
right, there you go.
That's a new episode. That's a different episode.
Yeah. I just thought I'd bring it up. There's a lot of talk about, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and UFO sightings and how they can just...
It only makes sense.
It's going to get crazy. It's going to...
Just cryptid sightings in general, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Associated with UFOs, I'd say. Is that a thing? Yeah. I think it checks out.
I don't have any shrooms, so I can't get into it too heavy.
I also want to say that, if you want to dive in deep to the Ohio grassman, you're better off searching for Bigfoot, Ohio. I found a lot more stuff searching for it that way than I did just searching for the Ohio grassman. So,
I thought you was going to go into you found more legal weed sites than you did for anything.
Well, actually, I did. Yeah.
Still not legal in Ohio.
Well, I got
everywhere around, which is interesting.
I saw Illinois grassman, Oklahoma grassman. I didn't see it.
Like I'm saying, that's why. Okay, yeah.
Stick to Bigfoot. It's easier to find it.
Pop up with 50 freaking tabs to open.
You can put your weed in there.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Well, guys, that's all I've got. Dustin, do you have anything you want to plug, man?
No, I think I'm good, man. Just glad to join you guys. It's been real fun for sure.
Thanks.
It's been a long time.
Appreciate you. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, no, it's good to talk.
Oh, and
this is a super fun thing to do, and I don't know if any of that stuff actually exists, but it's definitely fun to talk about. Also, the cultural stuff is interesting for sure. So it's cool to talk with you guys about it.
I want to believe it so bad, and plus, if you
have, is there anything you guys have come across where you're like, I mean, I don't know, this looks legit. I mean, or have you remain skeptical on most everything you come across?
I believe there are a couple of haunted paranormal cases that we've done that I was like, yep, can't disprove it.
Yeah, I believe Dylan 100% because he's not a bullshitter with his story that he wrote in about.
And then the Black Monk as well.
Yeah,
I can't disprove the Black Monk.
So there's a couple that have been at least convincing in a pretty substantial way. That's kind of it's I think a lot of the cryptids are very fun, but there's very scant evidence for a lot of this stuff. Although the hair thing is a little bit interesting, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But it's like the people that I know people that said they have seen it, and it's just like they will not go back. They're like, nope, seen it.
Right.
I seen this thing.
Yes.
And I saw, and I'm not going to say it was a Black Panther because that's what people say, but I did see a giant black cat, and I was with two buddies. It was the middle of the day, and it ran right in front of our truck.
Oh, the Black Panther one that one's got a long history and there's a lot of interesting stories about that for sure. That's an interesting one.
If I had to guess, knowing dogs, like the size of dogs, I'd guess it was about 120 pounds. Its tail was so fucking long and just straight behind it as it was running. And my buddy was like, that's not a dog. I'm like, I was too stupefied to even grab my phone to get a video. I'm like, what am I looking at? What? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then a guy I work with, it was about probably 2 miles from where I seen it. And it was a few months later, he was out hunting in the morning, had his camera with him, but it was so cold, the camera wouldn't pick up. He said he watched the thing walk through the woods, but the damn camera wouldn't come on.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? He goes, people are going to think I'm crazy. I was like, people think I'm crazy when I tell them that, but I'll still tell them. I was like, what, man?
Well, I mean, there are more things than we know about for sure. So it's cool to explore. Definitely a lot of fun. So
yeah,
we're having fun exploring. So
yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having me along, man. It's been fun, and I learned a lot about sort of our local little legends here, and it's been fun to kind of do a little bit of research on it. So appreciate the opportunity.
You're always welcome to come back and hang out whatever you want. Appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Sounds good. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
No problem. And guys, continue to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you would like to get a hold of us, if you have some stories, you can hit us up on the social medias, or you can email us at hmfpod@gmail.com. And until next Tuesday, I'm Zach.
Spar.
And Dustin.
And we'll see you next Tuesday. Later.
Later.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
I was with you.
They're coming to get you. Black out of Christ.
This is Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Why are there so many songs about frogmen? Heidi ho!